Jeff Grossman has been on the show over the last several months talking about the Communist Manifesto planks. He is a passionate student of the Constitution and has noticed a trend in many areas of our Constitution being violated in governmental favor of the slow implementation of the planks, subtly enough sometimes that few notice. And those who do notice are accused by the elites as right-wing extremists unwilling to compromise. To add to this concern is the now liberal agenda to minimize the Second Amendment. Jeff is going to remind us of the tyranny our founders faced, which led to the Second Amendment in the first place, which in the beginning, it started with the elites causing tyranny over the people in Great Britain.
Actually, there was a right to keep and bear arms in England. I don't have any material on it, but what I remember is it started out as a general right to keep and bear arms, and it was gradually eroded and got to the point, for example, where you were allowed to keep and bear arms equivalent to your station in life, which means if you were a peasant, you didn't get you weren't allowed to own armor or good swords, and then gradually completely eroded. In fact, now, you can't even own a gun in England.
Yeah, peasants, huh? So,
well, the interesting thing is the attitude about firearms in the colonial times, in that it turns out that firearms were not only accepted in colonial times, but were required. For example, in 1623, there was a Virginia law that required you to travel only if you were well armed. The Plymouth colony in 1632 required that each person have a piece, powder, and shot, a sufficient musket or other serviceable piece. 1639, Newport colony said you can't come to a public meeting without your weapon. Now, I do that today.
Yeah, you're a practitioner.
I'm a practitioner of the Second Amendment.
Well, you're on screen right now. Why don't you show people your...
well, I don't like... This is my spare magazine. I don't like to handle loaded firearms unnecessarily.
But if I was in a McDonald's and there was a problem, I'd want you to be in McDonald's too.
Well, if someone drew a gun and held up a McDonald's and I was there, first thing I would do would be nothing, because they're typically crowded and things like that. If the robber opened fire, then I would certainly take action.
Yeah.
But the carrying a firearm is a significant responsibility. As a matter of fact, the shooting in Clackamas in Town Center Mall was actually stopped by someone carrying concealed who did not fire because he didn't have a clear field of fire and it wasn't safe, but the shooter saw him and stopped firing and killed himself.
Yeah. Now, when you go to get a permit, do they teach you that? The best thing to do is nothing at first until you know that.
Well, part of the
to.
requirement for getting a concealed handgun license in Oregon is a law and safety class. And one of the things that they teach you, in even any gun safety class, is know what's behind your target.
Yeah. Now, when you get a permit, I mean, I'm uncomfortable getting anything at all.
Well,
I have to have my driver's license.
I call it being unconstitutionally illegal.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court has ruled that you can't take a right and license it. And so the whole idea of licensing carry is a little bit difficult to swallow, but for practical purposes, you don't want to carry concealed without a license.
Now, back in the olden days, you didn't need a license, though.
Oh, no.
In fact, they wanted you to.
No, in fact, the curious thing was that although there were sheriffs in the colonial and early United States time, there wasn't any municipal police departments until about 1845 in this country. Back then, you just had sheriff. And the police were forbidden to carry firearms, based on the idea is that if they needed that kind of assistance, that they would, there'd be plenty of armed citizens to help them.
Yeah. Back in those days, life was simpler. I realized that, it wasn't as industrial, but mom and dad had their kids. The kids didn't grow up as feeling like, my dad doesn't love me, he left the family, so to speak. And so everything was a lot simpler. And then we have this rules for radical, which is Obama's blueprint. And this, what it does is it takes the Constitution and it, just gets rid of it. And this is his agenda. And that started with Bill Ayers' group
Well,
in the,
there's
in the 60s.
there's no question that President Obama has no love for the Constitution.
Right.
But there's also biblical roots in the concept of self-defense, which is only a teeny tiny piece of the Second Amendment anyway.
yeah.
There was a sermon given in Philadelphia in 1747 in a church, said, "He that suffereth his life to be taken from him by one that hath no authority for that purpose, when he might preserve it by defense, incurs the guilt of self-murder, since God hath enjoined him to seek the continuance of his life,
Yeah.
and nature itself teaches every creature to defend
Yeah,
itself."
yeah.
But the purpose of the Second Amendment being in the Constitution is not primarily self-defense, and has nothing to do with hunting. It has to do with tyranny.
Yeah.
I mean, as far back as Aristotle said that tyrants mistrust the people and deprive them of arms.
Yeah. Well, once again, the liberals are changing the conversation. Oh, you don't need this to hunt. And so that's what everybody is talking about, mostly, on
Well,
on
that,
TV.
that's because even the NRA is uncomfortable talking about the true purpose of the Second Amendment,
Wow.
which is to preserve freedom. I mean, of course, Thomas Jefferson said that laws that forbid the carrying of arms disarm only those who neither are inclined to or determined to commit crimes. But that was a commentary, that was not the justification for the Second Amendment. James Berg in 1775 said, "The possession of arms is the distinction between a free man and a slave." And, necessity is the plea for every infringement of human liberty. And it's amazing what our founders said. Americans need not fear the federal government because they enjoy the advantage of being armed, which you possess over the people of almost every other nation. James Madison, who's considered the architect of the Constitution, said that. I think he knows what he was talking about.
Yeah.
It's all about rebellion to tyranny.
Yeah.
In fact, I think it was Thomas Jefferson, said that rebellion to tyranny is obedience to God.
Hey, well, that's good. If the community organizers are so organized, and the church needs to be organized, and the church needs to understand too, I think, if I can speak so boldly, that once they stepped out of politics, tyranny stepped into politics, and we are going to suffer the consequences because as you're reading,
Well, in fact, being a Christian,
politics is in the Bible.
being a Christian might brand you as a terrorist. In in 2009, a lot of this stuff came out, and you haven't heard much since. The Missouri Information Analysis Center published a report saying that you are equated with radical hate groups and terrorists if you are Christian, Ron Paul supporter, libertarian, people who display bumper stickers, people who own gold, fly the U.S. flag, oppose registration of ammunition, think the U.S. government will suffer economic collapse, oppose a constitutional convention of the North American Union, oppose abortion, oppose taxes, oppose illegal aliens. I went through this list,
wow.
and I'm a terrorist 11 times over.
Yeah, that sounds like something like the New World Order rich elite guy George Soros would come up with. That's un American, and that's whoever came up with this, should be arrested for treason. In my humble opinion, but
the Department of Homeland Security came out with a very similar list. Potential terrorists to recent veterans if you oppose abortion, same-sex marriage, restrictions on firearms, lax in immigration laws, oppose the policies of President Obama.
oh wow, we can't do that.
Oppose,
They don't say oppose the policies of George W. Bush.
for a number of years, Connecticut has had a statute that you could report your neighbor and saying, I think he's dangerous or he's out to harm me or something like that without evidence, and the police can come in and take that person's guns, and you almost never ever get them back. Lack of due process, gun confiscation. It's basically a rat your neighbor outlaw.
Oh wow!
And
so the liberal across the street can,
Yeah. And there's essentially no
Face down.
recourse.
Wow.
That's the problem with a lot of legislation. I do not like Lyndon Johnson, but he did say something that I think is really relevant. He said, "You do not examine legislation in the light of the benefits it will convey if properly administered, but in the light of the wrongs it would do and the harms it would cause if it was improperly administered." So when people go through statutes and they say, well, this could be applied adversely in this situation, they're not making things up. It's a matter of these are ways the laws can be applied maliciously.
Yeah.
And in today's government climate, it will happen.
Right.